Hey guys, welcome to Chalchitra Talks, and this is a series that does not have a name yet, but we're temporarily calling it Love Letter to Movies and Shows because today we are discussing a show
Yes.
which Vaani has recently watched, and she claims that she hasn't processed it yet. So we are getting like very fresh and certified hot takes on this
Not
show.
sure if there are certified.
Yeah. What is the show that we are talking about?
So I'm very embarrassed.
Huh. That's the name of the show, guys. I'm very embarrassed. Which streaming platform is it?
It
Huh.
streams in my house.
Okay.
But anyway, so I'm late to the party.
Hmm.
I'm late to a lot of parties. This is a party I'm actually embarrassed to be late to.
Okay.
The name of the show is Fleabag.
Okay.
What I really like about the TV show, of course, is the character of Fleabag.
Yeah.
She's witty and she has no filter, and I love that about her. But apart from that, I really like her sense of humor and the way she's dealt and she's explained to you, whether it's about sexual harassment, whether it's about mental health, whether it's about somebody calling you slut, etc., catcalling you, relationships in life, how somebody breaks up with you. Just everything is funny, but then at the same time, it's just very real. And it's something I really, really like about Fleabag.
So before we move further into this, I want to give a quick shout out. So when you were talking about the show, you had a lump in your throat when you said I really like the show, and it reminded me of my friend Shivani, who really likes this show and like swears by it. During the lockdown, we found out that the play Fleabag, from which the show was adapted, was available to like pay-per-view types, and we watched the whole play on Zoom. I don't know why, but she kind of broke down while we were watching it, and I tried to ask her about what happened, vagera, but she didn't have an answer. She just felt like crying and she just broke down while watching it. So I want to ask you about Fleabag. That why does the show mean so much to women in particular?
There are bits in the TV show that just get to you. And these are the things that nobody talks about.
Right.
For example, when they go to the silent retreat and there is this whole workshop slash retreat happening for men on the other side, and they're just screaming slut, slut, slut. There's this very small moment, I think it's only for a few moments, where somebody says, so if Patricia gets promoted, what are you not going to tell her? And somebody says, who did you sleep with to get this fucking promotion? And these are the small things that we usually talk about in funny way.
Right.
And we always talk about this with humor. But this is something that's the reality of every woman's life. You have to justify everything that you've done. And these are the small, harsh truths of life, which is reflected in such a funny way that it brings something home. It's like a warm hug to you at the end of the day.
On Twitter, there's a thing about where people feel that they feel being seen.
Oh, like the world finally understands your perspective.
Yeah, not just that, but in also in an embarrassing sense also, that you kind of feel naked in front of the
So
entire
Fleabag does that for you?
Yeah. No, I'm asking that do you kind of feel seen in this very weirdly described sense of the word?
I don't really mind it. I mean, there is a personality that I have that a lot of people do not know about. I think why they feel seen is because there are certain quirks, there are certain characteristic traits that she's portrayed, punching a man you do not like. There have been men in my life I have wanted to be dead. And I say this not because I'm a sadist person, but because I've been so frustrated by them. It is a window, and if you were to walk into it or peep into it, you might understand some part of how we feel about the world, how we feel when you try to just tell us what we are doing wrong. There's also this added pressure of being emotionally strong. And emotionally strong is not in the good sense where you have to be emotionally present and emotionally fit. It also has to do, hey, you have to hold back tears. You don't have to be so dramatic about life. And in that process, we've started becoming very harsh on ourselves. This is something you see in the entirety of Fleabag. Her humor is sort of a coping mechanism in the first place. And the moment the priest catches hold of it, you realize how she becomes very vulnerable. Oh, so I'm not safe with this coping mechanism anymore. what. But yeah.
You mentioned the hot priest, and I need to ask you the most important question. The question that plagues the entirety of Twitter and all of Fleabag discussions is that, do you personally find the hot priest hot?
So I remember my sibling was right next to me, and I told him, I find this priest very hot. He's actually very hot. And I was like, me too. I just think that it was. Why do you think they find him hot?
So I don't have an answer for this, but the creator of the show, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she has an answer for this. So on SNL, she did a monologue. There was a line where she says that many women have come up to me and said that they found the hot priest really hot, and I was wondering why is this, and I realized that he does this one thing where which is because of which people find him hot, and that one thing is that he listens. That's all he does. He listens to women.
True.
So, yeah.
That's very true.
Mhm.
Every person wants to feel unique. Every person is an individual
Right.
in their own sense, right? And everyone wants that validation from people. And everyone wants to be heard. But that doesn't happen because more often than not, most of us are busy expressing our own ideas. Most of the times what also happens is you start talking about something and the other person cuts you off. And in Fleabag, you see that happens so many times where you know that this individual, this character that we see needs help. Maybe not therapy, maybe not money or whatever, but at least a hug, a warm, gentle hug or a reminder that, hey, everything's going to be okay. And that doesn't come through from the many people that she has in her life until the hot priest comes in, where she's like, nobody has talked to me in the past 30 minutes or whatever. For this conversation, suddenly he's like, hey, so what do you do? And knowing her arc, it's just so nice, because by the time we've also started caring for her, and for the first time in the TV show, somebody asks her like, hey, so what do you do? And the thing about listening is it's just not you nodding and being, it's about just knowing what the other person wants to talk about and then nudging them the right way. This is something I read in, have you heard of this book, Men Are From Mars and
Women Are From Venus?
Have
yes.
you read it?
For some strange reason, this was in our school library.
This is in every school library.
Yeah. And I haven't read it yet, but yeah,
There's
please
no
tell.
point reading it.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very famous book and you'll find it in all your school libraries. And there's this very interesting line which says how men and women solve arguments or take care of problems in the partner's life. And I do not know if it's true, but every time I have been in a relationship with somebody, I know this is how they solve problems. You, as my partner, will come to me with problems, and I'll listen to you as a woman. Be like, oh, so that's the problem. Okay. And if you want it, only then will I come for the solution towards the end. How men do is they listen half, and in between they'll just stop you. They'll stop you from your rant and they'll start telling you, oh, so this is the problem, this is the solution, you can do this, did you try doing that? Can you just let me rant?
Yeah.
Please? Maybe I've done that, I'll come to that later. That is something you see in the priest because he's not doing that. And that also makes him stand apart from all the men she's dated until then. Because I don't remember anybody being a good listener.
What's your favorite moment from the entire show?
One of them is when she's crying, she's very tearful, like it's the last scene of the series. And a fox comes in and she's like, hey, went in that direction. That's it. And then, of course, when they're on the silent retreat, and she's told her sister that he cheated and he tried to kiss me and whatever. And she comes back at the end of the retreat and she quietly tucks herself in, goes into the same bed as her sister and hugs her. And we think the sister is asleep, but she just welcomes the hug. And another scene that I really like is again from the sibling relationship where she's telling the husband, she's going to tell her husband, Fleabag's sister, that hey, this is not working out, I'm going to get a divorce. And the guy's like, this woman can't be here. And she's like, no, she's not going anywhere. And that's the first time she takes a stand for her sister, Fleabag. And it's just a warm, nice thing. What's your favorite moment from?
There are many actually, but some of like the ones that I always revisit are, so she is always talking to the camera, right? And she's always breaking the fourth wall and speaking into camera. But in the second season, like when the priest appears and like there are different moments where she looks into the camera, she's about to say something, but the priest is like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
And like it kind of makes you feel that this is her inner monologue. कि वो से अपने दिमाग में ये सब बोल रही है and nobody else. Like we are inside her mind and we are seeing the show. Right. We are seeing her life as a show.
Yeah. But and it's like we are the imaginary friends.
Yeah.
And as long as the priest is in her life, we are the toxic ones.
Yeah.
One is when they're doing when she says, "I don't believe in God," and the wind goes, I love it when he does that. Yeah. This might question my stance as a feminist.
Okay.
But this is the first episode. And the father has given them tickets to a feminist lecture.
Yeah.
And the lady asks, if I can cut off the last 10 years of your life, you'll die 10 years sooner. But if I give you 5 more years of beauty, will you do that? And there are only 2 hands that go up in the air. I love that scene. I would also do that. I'm that shallow. No, I'm not that shallow, but I understand the shallowness and I might as well do that. I just won't say yes, I would do that. But that's also one of my favorite. There are multiple favorite scenes. It's just that good a TV show. You can't spot like, hey, that was it when it made me for me.
So is it something that you would like to rewatch? Like, is it?
I am going to rewatch it. I think it's going to be one of my comfort watches. I love Schitt's Creek, which one of our editors hates. But that's also one show I revisit. And I just like watching things that are very light-hearted.
Nice.
Please don't judge me.
If you have a chance, please watch the play. It's just her on stage and one chair. That's it. That's the entire play. She is delivering a monologue to the audience and it has the entirety of season 1.
And what about the hot priest? Is he there in the play?
No, so that's season 2, right? So the play is only the story of season 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then that makes more sense. I like the idea so much because sometimes when I write, and in the initial newsletters that I would start typing, I also had a third voice. So there would be a nice thing and there would be a joke in the in the braces. For example, I recommended a song a few weeks ago, and underneath that I was like, do you even listen to my songs? But it's just, it's very nice the way she's built this entire thing. Because we all have that monologue in our mind. And I never looked at it as something that's very women-centric. Of course, it's very women-centric because we are talking about the problems that we face. But in the larger scheme of things, it's also everyone has a monologue going on in their head. You might probably be judging me right now for visiting.
No, I'm not judging you, but
it's good to defense.
Yeah, on the topic of inner monologue, I really want to document people's inner monologues because I think that can reveal a lot about like what they are as a person. So this is like something that I want to work on in my life.
A 80-year-old person who's lost everything and now just hates everybody.
Yeah. I think my inner monologue is a lot like The Office, where it's a documentary crew watching everything that I do, and there are people like talking to camera like, yeah, he should not have done that. So
you did it anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for recommending Fleabag, and I hope everyone in the audience watches Fleabag, and if you still haven't seen it, please do. And if you have seen it, then watch it again after this episode. But do let us know what your inner monologue thought about this episode, and what you can also comment with timestamps. At this point, my inner monologue said, hey, this is a great episode and I should like and subscribe to this channel.
Yes, and share it with all my friends.
Yeah. Imaginary and otherwise. So yeah, thank you
as long as they have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye guys.